Welcome to the Slow Living Collective podcast. I'm Amy, wife, mother of two and homemaker. Come along with me as I share my love for simple living, growing in my allotment garden, diving into what it means to be an urban homesteader and embracing life as a mother and homemaker. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode here on the Slow Living Collective. Today I wanted to share with you some eco-friendly swaps that we have made in our house over the years. I think sometimes the whole greenwashing that is around us can just be so overwhelming and so draining, and it's so difficult to know sometimes what's the right thing to do. And so I think as well, sometimes you can feel like you have to do everything all at once, and then you're just overwhelmed because, actually replacing everything can be expensive. So I thought it would be just really good for just a general chit chat, share some of the things that we've changed and swapped out over the years, because I definitely feel like we have tried to do better in some areas. We're never going to be perfect, but I think you'll often hear people who sort of talk about eco-friendly products that actually it's not about being perfect, but just trying to do a little bit better. So we do what we can do, and so today I'm going to share with you some of the things that we have personally implemented in our house and in our life, and this is over a number of years. It really is over a number of years, so I don't want any of you to feel like you need to rush out and spend loads of money to do what I have done, because you definitely don't. Even changing one thing can be helpful. And also, I am a big proponent of actually only replacing things with eco-friendly equivalents when I have finished using the maybe non-eco-friendly version. So let's dive into it. Let's dive into some things you can change with relative ease to maybe reduce your carbon footprint, be a little bit more eco-friendly. Now, as a mother of two young children, one of the biggest changes that we made in terms of it being more eco-friendly, I feel, was actually switching our nappies from disposable nappies to cloth nappies. And we did this first with my daughter, and it made an incredible difference. Just on I know the environmental difference it makes. There are some crazy statistics around nappies, the time it takes for one nappy to degrade in landfill is something like 500 years. 500 years. That means the nappies I wore as a baby still exist. Is that not mad? And will exist for many, 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 many centuries after I have gone. That's wild. If you think about how many nappies just one newborn uses in one day. That's insane. And alongside that, plastic is obviously no good for the environment, but it's actually no good for our bodies either. And actually having these plastic products against our skin can just be just not great. So something we wanted to do was move away from the plastic nappies in terms of their environmental issues, but also health as well. So we actually purchased some cloth nappies. I actually purchased one cloth nappy to try. And this is always my biggest piece of advice when it comes to trying cloth, because it can seem so overwhelming. Firstly, there is obviously a financial implication, and it's very difficult to think oh my goodness, I've got to spend out on this amount of money per cloth nappy. And it's very difficult to then rationalise that in terms of actually what we spend over the duration of our children being in nappies on disposables. So it is very difficult to, rationalise, and there's a privilege associated with actually being able to purchase things up front. It's not always easy, but I want to share a little bit about how I got started with cloth nappies. So we didn't do it from birth with my daughter. Was kind of on my mind, but then I just felt a little bit overwhelmed, to be honest. First baby, I was poorly after she was born, and it just sort of went by the wayside. And so when she was about 4 or 5 months old, I started to think again about I'd really like to try cloth. And so what I did was I was in Sainsbury's one day. They had a Bambino Mio cloth nappy in there, and I just thought, I'll buy one. I'll try it. If I like it, great. I can look into it even more. If I don't, then it's £15. I haven't spent like £200, for example. So I picked it up, bought it, went home, washed it, dried it, put it on her, and I found that I really loved it. It's part of it is like the prints are adorable, but I really like the way I felt. I felt like I was doing something good for her. She had good stuff against her skin. I was doing something good for the environment, and yeah, I felt really good about that. And so from there, I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? Because, like I said, it's not the cheapest to get started with. Ultimately, over the duration of the period of time your children will be in nappies, it actually works out a lot cheaper. But, that doesn't really help us find the money up front. As it turned out, at the time when my daughter was, about 5 months, Aldi were stocking the Bambino Mio cloth nappies at quite a discounted cost, and so I was able to pick up a few there, and I just integrated them in with our disposables, because I think I had the one from Sainsbury's, and then I think I had about 5 or 6 from Aldi, which was not enough to do cloth full time. And so I always said, like I'm going to continually say throughout this episode, it's not about being perfect. It is never about being perfect. None of us are perfect. We are human. And, some things just feel a lot for us, and it feels too much to handle. So I don't want you to feel in this episode that you're not doing enough. I'm just sharing some of the things that work for us. Take what you want, leave what you want, and we'll just leave it there. But I had this idea that would I go full time with it, and honestly at the time I didn't really know if I would go full time with it. And so I did what many people opt to do, is I did cloth during the day and I used a disposable at night. And I want you to remember this: even if you only use one cloth nappy a day, that is 365 disposable nappies that are not going to landfill. So one cloth nappy a day can really make a difference. And obviously that's where I started. And once I got these Aldi nappies as well, it just went from there. And I got more and more and more. And I was able to pick up the Aldi ones. And then I was very lucky that I live in Hertfordshire, and at the time they did a cloth nappy scheme. They don't do it the same now, but you basically got I think it was 4 cloth nappies that could be used during the day and 2 cloth nappies that could be used overnight. I mean, you can obviously use the day ones over the night ones during the day even. But anyway, that's the way it was. So we had a Tot Spots nappy. We had three, I think. I'm trying to think. Gosh, it was a long time ago. 3 of the close parent pop-ins. And then we had a Tot Spots bamboozle with a peanut wrap. Now, if you don't know anything about cloth nappies, none of that will make any sense to you. But basically, I had the bamboozle from Tot Spots with the peanut wrap is for overnight. And also one of the close parents had a night insert with it as well. So yeah, from that scheme, you got them for free as long as your child was under the age of 2, and I applied when she was like 6 months. You got these daytime and nighttime nappies. You also got like a roll of the biodegradable like liner, and I I think that was everything. I think that was everything you got. So I applied for that. One of my friends who had a baby the same time as me, she also applied for a kit, and then she decided that it felt like too much for her. And so she gave me her kit. So I actually ended up with lots of free nappies. So I would have got 8 daytime nappies and 4 night nappies out of that. So that was incredible. And so yeah, I was very lucky in that sense, because that built my cloth nappies up exponentially. And yeah, so then I was able to really sort of go at it a bit more. Now the nighttime nappies, because they were like a bamboo core, they take a little longer to dry, so it still wasn't possible for me to do cloth overnight every night, but I was making like massive inroads into it. And I was actually lucky enough to partner with Bambino Mio. I'm still partnered with Bambino Mio now, and they sent me some free nappies, and they also gave me a discount code to purchase nappies at a discount, but also to offer that for my audience. And if you followed me sort of way back when, I often used to share a lot about our cloth nappy experience, and I felt very, very comfortable with Bambino Mio nappies. They were just ace, really, really ace. And they've obviously come out with some really incredible nappies, since not only incredible in terms of beautiful, beautiful prints, which sometimes I think is half the problem, right? Because we're like, I want that print. And so I have to try and sort of really rein myself in. But when Bambino Mio released their Mio Solo Supreme, I was in love. I was in love more than I was already in love, because I had been using Bambino Mio for months and months and months with my daughter. And then when they released the Mio Supreme, it's more absorbent, and it has a bamboo core, and it's just wonderful. It has like the double gusset legs, and just perfect. And yeah, it was I actually then sort of fell in love with Bambino Mio all over again. And yeah, most of our cloth nappies are Bambino Mio, and I was very strict with myself that I wasn't going to overbuy. And that's something that I think can be slightly controversial in some aspects, because there are some people that buy a lot of cloth nappies, and I wanted to do it sort of like on the minimum that I could get away with. So when the pandemic rolled round, we weren't doing cloth full time, particularly because although we had some night nappies, my daughter was just 1 year old when the pandemic hit, literally just 1 year old. And we were doing some overnight. I hadn't purchased any more nappies other than the original Bambino Mios I purchased, the free Tot Spots and Close Parent that I got in my kit from the council, and that obviously my friend kindly donated to me. And then I had some nappies from partnering with Bambino Mio as well. So I actually had around 20 nappies at that point, and they say about 20 to 25 to do cloth full time. And so I hadn't got really any more than that. And when the pandemic hit, so I still only had the 2 proper overnight nappies. When the pandemic hit, and like everything was hard to get hold of, wasn't it? Like you couldn't get hold of toilet roll. It was really difficult to get hold of wipes, which I'm going to go into in a minute. And it was difficult sometimes to get hold of nappies. And while we didn't use a lot of nappies, because obviously we were predominantly doing cloth, so a pack of actually reusable nappies lasted us a really, really long time. It made me think, like, actually I need to be a bit more sort of self-sustaining here. And actually I think it was the pandemic that actually brought that out in me in total. this idea that I needed to be a bit more sort of self-sufficient. And so, yeah, that's what I did. Was I went ahead and I ordered some more night nappies. Now, the Bambino Mio Solo Supremes hadn't been released at this point. So I went to my all-time favourites in terms of the cloth nappies for nighttime, and that was the Tot Spots, and that's the bamboozle with the peanut wrap. So I actually purchased 2 additional of those, and that saw us through. So I was able to use 2 of my close parents ones with the overnight insert, and then I had 3 of the bamboozles, and I had a number of wraps as well. The wraps dry a lot quicker than the inners, so you can get them washed and dried, so you don't necessarily need as many wraps as you need the bamboozle, the actual bamboo inner. And so it was from the pandemic we went strict full time in cloth, and it worked really, really, really well. And it was nice to not have to rely on purchasing them, or if we were going to run out, or if we'd even be able to get hold of them. So that worked really, really well for us. And then when my son arrived, I ummed and ahed. I was like, do I do cloth from newborn? Because if you don't know anything about cloth nappies, the standard size of cloth nappies are called birth to potty. But what that means is they obviously grow with your child, so they obviously grow. As they grow, you can change the poppers, you can change, the way the Velcro attaches, and it fits to your child's body as it grows. But although it's called birth to potty, realistically, children are not big enough when they're born for a birth to potty. Usually, I think around 8 weeks or more is when they will really start to fit in a birth to potty. So most brands do have like a newborn range as well. And I was faced with this idea, like I actually have enough cloth nappies to actually cloth my son full time and not have to purchase anything. I was very happy with the amount I had and how that worked in terms of washing. But if I was going to cloth him from birth, then I was going to have to actually go ahead and spend more money on some nappies that were realistically only going to last 8 weeks. And I ummed and ahed about this, but ultimately I decided that no, I wasn't going to purchase newborn nappies and do it from birth, just because I didn't want to spend out on cloth nappies that I knew that my son was my last baby, and so I knew they wouldn't go through another child after him. And I knew when I had my daughter, like I said, I was quite poorly after I had her. You never know what the period after you have a baby is going to look like, and I know I wasn't well enough with my daughter to be able to have taken on cloth as well. And while I'm a big proponent of it actually not making too much of an indent in your life, it actually is very easy. I just felt like I had a 2-year-old when my son was born as well. I just felt like there was multiple factors that made me not want to try it. And that's not the same for everyone, but ultimately we've just got to do what works for us, don't we? So I decided actually I wouldn't do cloth from birth with him. So I didn't, and it was the perfect decision for us. When he was big enough, we moved him into cloth, and we have never done cloth full time with him. Like we did with my daughter. So when my daughter got to sort of toilet age, I don't like to call it potty training or toilet training or anything like that. So when she was starting to learn to use the toilet, she actually didn't want to wear cloth nappies anymore. She didn't like the bulkiness of them, and tried to make them as slim as possible, but she actually preferred pull-ups. So we actually stopped doing cloth full time, and we did pull-ups for her until she was ready to use the toilet. And then, so with my son, like I said, we never did cloth full time, just because it just it just wasn't what was perfect for our family. And when it comes to cloth, like I keep saying, there is no such thing as perfection. And so we have, we've done it as suits us throughout his life thus far, and it's worked really, really well for us. Sometimes we use cloth, sometimes we're using disposables. It's whatever works. And I would say I did more cloth with my daughter, but yeah, that's just the way it is. So yeah, cloth nappies I am a big, big fan of. Like I said, it doesn't have to be complicated, it doesn't have to be difficult. Obviously you do have to factor in that you need to wash them and dry them. A little more difficult in the winter. Summer is amazing. And yeah, it's just what works best for your family. Don't let anybody feel like you're not doing enough. If you don't want to even attempt cloth nappies, then don't, because there is a small level of commitment there. But I just found that it was actually easy to it's just one additional wash. I know you have to factor in things like the cost of electricity and stuff now. Things were cheaper then. So yeah, I really do recommend Bambino Mio. They're a great, great nappy. They do the Mio Solos, they're originals, but they also do, I think they're called Mio Solo Classic, and they now do the Mio Solo Supreme, which has the bamboo core in it. They also do a two-piece nappy, so they have you can do like a flat nappy with a like waterproof cover, so they do those as well. That's called a Mio Duo. Now I do have a discount code for you guys if you wanted to try Bambino Mio and get started. Like I said, I started with one, and I recommend that for anybody who is curious about cloth nappies. Start with one, give it a try, figure out how you need to take care of it, how it would fit into your life, and then just go from there. I think you'll probably find that it's a lot easier than you think it's going to be, and therefore that's why I recommend just starting with one, because if you feel like it's really not for you, you've given it a try, and no one is judging you, no one is going to fault you. Give it a try, and if you don't love it, you can actually sell your nappies on. They have a great retail value when it comes to reselling, so absolutely just sell it on. Give it a good wash, sell it on, because there are mums all over the place that are looking for cloth nappies, so you can at least recoup some of your costs. So you can use my discount code on bambinomio.co.uk, and my discount code is AmyP15, and that will give you 15% off of their full priced items. I'm not sure if it's on sale items, I think not, but go and give it a try. And yeah, I think you'll fall in love with cloth nappies. It sounds a weird thing to say, but I think you really will. Now, another thing that is actually closely related to cloth nappies that took me a little longer to get on board with actually was cloth wipes. And I want to tell you right here, right now, I definitely was an overthinker when it came to cloth wipes. It's so funny, because actually now, I wouldn't just use cloth wipes on bums. I use cloth wipes everywhere. Not the same ones, let it be said, but they are able to be used, all over the place. And I think once you get past the idea that, like, I don't know what it is. I think, when it comes to bums and wiping up baby poo, we are so used to just wrapping it up, throwing it away. So when you do cloth nappies and cloth wipes, the idea of, I guess, keeping it is just fuse into our brains, that's all. It's just because of the way, we've been taught and we've been wired. But I took a really long time after I had moved to cloth nappies to actually try cloth wipes. I just thought, no, I don't know how I'd attempt that as well. But I was already doing cloth nappies, so it was so inconsequential when I actually gave it a go. And you will find that cloth wipes are so much better than like disposable wipes. They're so much better. So you know what it's like when you've got your like disposable wipes and you've got a baby and you're like, there's a bit of a poo explosion and it's wipe after wipe after wipe, and obviously the people who make wipes pack them so tightly in the packet, so you're trying to pull out wipes and you just get a bundle. It's a nightmare, isn't it? Um, a cloth wipe, even with some of the biggest explosions I've had, one wipe will generally be enough. Uh, Occasionally you might need to go to a second, but that's it. And all I used to do was like just wet them. So wet them. They're a bit like a flannel. I have two types, and I'll talk about the both of them in just a moment. But I started off with like terry toweling, so they're a lot like a flannel washcloth towel type of thing, and just wet them, wring them out, and they just clean so much better. They've obviously, there's nothing in them other than water, so no chemicals, no all of these extra additives and stuff, so much better for baby skin as well, and they just work amazing. And so when I started using them, I was like, oh, why did I wait so long? Why did I wait so long? It's so funny because it was just actually a really easy progression from cloth nappies. So if you are doing cloth nappies or have tried cloth nappies and you're like, oh gosh, I couldn't do cloth wipes, I was there. I've been there, and I promise you, it's so easy. Grab some, give it a go, and you'll be like, oh, why did I wait? It's not difficult at all. So I definitely recommend cloth wipes. I actually started with a brand called Muslin Z. They were like a square terry, and I got a couple of packs of those. I think they're like they were $11.99 way back when. What I'm going to do is I am going to leave all the links in the notes, and discount code, everything, and you can check it all out there if that's something that you want to try. But I started with the Muslin Z ones. They are amazing. I also have the Bambino Mio Supreme ones, I think they're called. Yeah, so they are really good as well. They have like two different textures on either side. One is like a really soft texture, and then the other side is sort of more like a terry sort of feeling, I guess. And they work really great as well. And all I do is I just chuck them in with the cloth nappies and wash them the same way. And the best thing about reusable wipes is that you don't have to let them dry. You don't have to let them dry like you do a nappy. You can just, so if you were like running low, you can just grab some freshly cleaned ones. They don't, just sort of wet them under the tap anyway. So yeah, they really are fantastic. Now, I've spoken a lot about cloth nappies and cloth wipes, and actually, I know so many of you are just actually, you maybe have kids that are far out of nappies, and you're like, oh gosh, no. So, if cloth nappies and are not for you, let me tell you, you can still use cloth wipes. So you could use cloth wipes for the same way as you'd use a flannel, right? Just like wiping things up, you could use. I use it for dirty faces, not the bum wipes. Very important that you keep them separate. You could actually replace your toilet paper with cloth wipes if you felt that was something you wanted to try. They're not just for baby bums. You can actually use them for any bums, so that's a good option. You can just chuck them in the wash, give them a good clean. Usually wash around between 40 and 60 degrees, and you can find lots of information online about the best ways to wash. Cloth nappies the same. I usually wash them at 60, and I don't tumble dry. Some of them can be tumble dried on a low heat, but I think it ultimately in the long term affects the integrity of the waterproof covering and sometimes the velcro as well. So you just need to be mindful of those things. So yeah, you can use cloth wipes instead of kitchen roll. You can just use them to like dry up spillages, and I'm going to go on to some other things around the home that are not related to babies and babies' bums. So something else we have swapped our usage of is kitchen roll. We were using tons of kitchen roll all the time, and we actually swapped to a eco-friendly kitchen roll. It's a bamboo roll. Sure, there are loads of different types, but we actually went with the Eco Egg brand. They're the people that make that Eco Egg, the egg that goes in your washing machine, and you use that instead of like powder and stuff. So that is obviously one of our swaps as well. But for now, kitchen roll, we use the Eco Egg brand. It's just on a roll, much like kitchen roll, so you can stick it on your kitchen roll holder, and you use it and then wash it, and you just wash it and wash it and use it and use it. It will start to get little holes in it, but it's still super effective until it is literally like a rag that has fallen apart and you feel like you can't get anything out of it. Then you could compost it. And so yeah, I found that really, really useful. We've been using that for a while now. At first, it's really difficult to use something that you know is not disposable, and it's getting over that hurdle in your mind, because when we first got it, we still had some old rolls of kitchen roll, and I found that I would always reach for the disposable kitchen roll instead of wanting to make the reusable kitchen roll dirty. Once you get over that in your mind, it becomes much easier. I just chuck them in whenever I'm doing a wash. Just give them a normal wash, and then I just have a little place for them in the kitchen. Just hang them up to dry, fold them up, and just use them again. And so yeah, we've been using that, I would say, for over a year now, and really, really like that as a swap. Another thing for around the kitchen is, I think I've mentioned before, maybe I haven't, but I make my own homemade cleaning sprays. Just because I prefer them. I prefer not having so much chemicals when it comes to cleaning. I don't like having too much chemicals in my house, and that's been a game changer. But something else that comes out of that is, because I make my own sprays, I purchased the amber spray bottles, the glass amber spray bottles, and they work a treat. They're obviously reusable, and it means that because we aren't purchasing, cleaning sprays from the shops, we are not contributing to the waste of that plastic as well. So that's a really good benefit. There's multiple benefits for making your own cleaning sprays, but not using the plastic is a great one. We also use things in our kitchen like reusable beeswax wraps. We use reusable sandwich bags. The sandwich bags can be washed, just with regular washing up liquid, as can the beeswax wraps, and just dry them out. We, instead of using disposable sandwich bags in places, we can use things like, I've got a lunchbox for the kids, just using things, that are reusable where we can. I'm not perfect. I still do have disposable sandwich bags, and I still do use them on occasion. I am not perfect, but these are just some tips that I do have. So the brand of sandwich bags we use, I think, is called Kavona. I will link them. They are really good. They come in multiple sizes. One of the things I use them for is I save my veggie scraps to make stock, and so I use the biggest one, and we just every time just chuck some more veg in. We put it in the freezer, and when we've got plenty, then we stick it in the slow cooker and make a stock from it. So they're really good. Other things that we have done is I use reusable cotton rounds for if I'm wearing makeup, which is rare, to be honest. But I use that. We've used lots of like washcloths for cleaning kids down and normal bath time activities and stuff like that. We use things like reusable water bottles, reusable coffee cups, those sorts of things. Just anything that stops us, using single-use stuff. We aren't perfect. We definitely aren't perfect. But there are multiple ways that we, try our best. We do grow our own food. We compost where we can. It's very difficult where we live. They don't recycle. Can you believe it? I know. in general they recycle, but we don't have any recycling facilities where we live. Now, it's not been something that we have been able to implement, but so what we do within our own home is, try and recycle as much as possible. So yeah, I can't be perfect in any way, but I can only work with the things that are available to me as well. We recycle a lot of our stuff anyway, so like all of our cardboard and stuff, goes to the allotment, and we just do our best, and I think we do a pretty good job. I'm pleased with everything we are able to achieve, and just the way we're able to reduce our footprint. We are passionate about living a more locally based life anyway. We try not to get too much food that has got significant air miles with it, so we do our best. We all do our best. We only drive one car. We are just a one-car family, so we don't have two cars. We don't really take trips abroad. Again, a personal choice. So we just do what works for our family. So I hope maybe you found some tips in there, and I will link everything in the notes. So if you wanted to check anything out, please just refer there. If you were interested in trying some Bambino Mio products, whether that's cloth nappies, wipes, changing bags, anything that they offer, don't forget my discount code. I'll put it in the notes, but it is AmyP15. Okay guys, I think that's all I've got for you. I would love you to follow me over on Instagram. I am at lifeonplot44. You can find me there, and I would love to know what some of the things that you have swapped out in your home and in your family, just to try and be a little bit more eco-friendly and more mindful of the environmental impacts that we have. So definitely follow me over there. Don't forget, you can check out the blog at theslowlivingcollective.com. There's tons of stuff that I share over there, and I actually have a really old video on there about eco-friendly swaps that we've made, so you can go and check that out as well. So I think that's everything for today. Thank you so much, as usual, for hanging out with me for this episode. Like I said, come and find me on Instagram. I would love to know what some of the eco-friendly swaps you guys have made. And just remember, none of us are perfect. We are all doing this imperfectly and just doing our best. So I would love to know what swaps you have made. Maybe it might inspire me to do something a bit different, because I'm always looking for ways that I can sort of improve and do better. So yeah, definitely follow me over there, and I will catch you in the next episode. But until then, have a great day, week, month, however long it is until you tune back in, and I will see you in the next one.